Ready? Okay, we're ready to go.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody, to the May 21st, 2025 Planning and Economic Development Meeting. The first item on the agenda is the call to order. Okay. The second item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion or a first and a second for the minutes?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Okay, great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved.
Thank you.
The third item on tonight's agenda is the privilege of the floor. Do we have anybody here to speak on the privilege of the floor?
Mr. Chairman,
Seeing that, yes. Go ahead, Fred, if you have the
thank you very much.
floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. The 1998 charter, which we still operate under, says that the county legislature, that's section 2.05 of the charter, on at least an annual basis prior to the county executive's preparation of the tentative budget, the county legislature shall adopt by resolution goals and objectives, as well as specific performance measures for those goals and objectives, which shall be utilized in the formation of the budget and in measuring the success of its implementation. Resolutions adopting goals, objectives, and specific performance measures shall not be subject to veto by the county executive. Now, I think since 2005, probably the county legislature has not followed this mandate of the charter, and which means that we have about 20 years of department heads who have never been involved with committees, whether it's the Department of Public Facilities, whether it's the Health Department, Social Services Department, or in our case, our own Department of Planning and Economic Development. So our current department head has never taken part in this process. I shared with Chairman Harmon last week, I think it was, Tom, a draft which is in front of you tonight, and it's a rough draft, but this is already May, and the legislature is supposed to adopt performance measures, objectives, goals, objectives, and measures by June of each year. So you've got this in front of you, and goal number one, job creation is number one goal. Objective is, and I picked 500 net new jobs in our county this year and 750 net new jobs next year. Measurement is New York State Department of Labor job statistics. This is an arbitrary number, as all numbers are, basically. But as I've tried to bring to the legislature's attention for 17 months, since roughly 2010, employment in our county is down by 14,000. So setting a goal of 500 net new jobs, a growth in employment for this year, 750 next year, seemed pretty modest, probably too modest. Number two goal, a trained workforce is the goal. Objective is to expand job training by 100 workers in 25, 200 workers in 26. Offer county financial support to JCC for expanded job training opportunities. Measurement is how many people participated in workforce training programs in 25 and 26. I could be wrong, always could be, but I don't think our county budget contains any money for helping pay for job training at Jamestown Community College. And I believe we've been educated in the last year plus that for whatever reason, the state of New York stopped supporting JCC community college job training programs as not being the same as students studying math or history or whatever. So the county currently doesn't, as I understand it, doesn't contribute toward training our workforce. We might want to look at a goal here, or an objective of the county using some of our own money to do that. Number three, create the conditions for additional new jobs is a goal. The objective is to acquire, throwing out there 100 acres of lands in 25 and 200 acres of lands in 2026, suitable for industrial business parks. Measurements are how many acres were acquired. I've been very pleased with the help of Chairman Shagnon. In the last year, we moved forward with getting 60 acres of land in the South County Industrial Park shovel-ready by a year from summer. However, by most accounts, we will be lucky to have out of that 60 acres, maybe 150 jobs someday. And again, we're down 14,000 in employment since 2010. Number 4, making lands the county / our county IDA already owns shovel-ready for industrial business park development is the goal. Objective would be to get 120 acres shovel-ready by 26. That one should be an easy one because between the 60 acres in the South County Industrial Park and 60 acres roughly in Ripley, we've already seen a proposed timetable that by a year or so from now, those should be ready for somebody to go in. And 5, expanding tourism beyond the Memorial Day, Labor Day season and ski season is a goal. Objectives include restoring passenger air service to the county airport at Jamestown in 25, attracting more conventions and group meetings in the off-season in 25 and 26. Measurements include increased occupancy tax revenue from greater use of our lodging facilities. As the chairman knows, I shared this. You did get the proposed resolution, I hope, Tom.
I did.
Okay. As a retired lawyer judge, I try to remember not to assume things. It's a bad thing to assume. We do know that our department head got it because he responded in a fashion that it would indicate that he's not been through the process that the county charter puts forward. In particular, the issue of industrial business parks. What is the role of the county legislature in creating county industrial business parks? Well, after the 98 charter was adopted, in 1999, the county legislature was presented with this report that I have in my hand, Building Now for Our Future Business and Industrial Parks Infrastructure Development Plan, 1999. That was a presentation to the legislature. In response to that presentation, the legislature passed Resolution 21099 you have a copy of tonight. The title was Supporting the Business and Industrial Parks Infrastructure Development Plan and $13,100,000 in bonding therefore. That was the legislature. There were 25 legislators then. It was about 13 to 12, I think, just split evenly. And I was county attorney, part of this industrial parks task force that put this report together. It's pleasing to look back and see there were only 2 no votes out of 25. So it was overwhelming bipartisan support to go forward with this plan. It was a very detailed plan the legislature had in front of it before it authorized spending any county money. That same night, Resolution 21799, a bond resolution for $5,600,000. That lines up with the earlier resolution. You can see that the total projected business and industrial park development was going to be $13 million, and it indicated out of that $5.6 million initially. The legislature approved that by the same 23-2 vote. Why do I bring this up? So that the members of the committee here tonight, the 5 of us, we see that after the adoption of the 98 charter, and that charter was very strong in saying, you all, now 19 of you, us, we're supposed to set policy around here. We're supposed to set goals and objectives. And it was interesting, I hadn't read that part of the charter prior to 15 minutes ago. Makes it clear in that charter that any resolution we pass regarding dealing with goals, objectives, and measures for economic development out of our committee, it's not subject to veto by the county executive. So we are to set policy. Very seldom does the legislature in fact set policy. But That charter said we're supposed to, and it had a mechanism for doing it. I was not here in '23 when the legislature that year, as I understand it, gave $5 million roughly of Joe Biden's money to the IDA, which the resolution that I remember doesn't even specify that the $5 million was for Ripley or anywhere else, or how it was going to be spent. In addition to that, I think there was over $1 million of county capital projects money that was handed over to the IDA. I remember looking for any resolutions in 2023 by this body that said anything about Ripley, and I don't think there were any. That's not the way to do business. If you take your job seriously as a policymaker, as a legislator, you're elected by the people. You have the authority to tell department heads what you want done. You have authority to indicate for Department of Public Facilities that our rural representatives, you want fog lines on every county road. And if the DPF director or the county executive don't like it, well, you can haggle it out, but you have a right to tell department heads what you expect, what policies you want. If you want turn lanes at every intersection in your townships on county roads, you've got the authority to pass a resolution every year saying what your goals and objectives are. So, this is a draft, but what we have currently is this committee and the legislature through us, we get maybe once a year or something, we get a report from our department heads telling us what they want to tell us. And that's nice. We should get that information. But we're supposed to tell them what we want in the way of policy in the coming year. And for a department head to say that our job as Economic Development Committee is to keep our nose out of economic development and just hand money to the IDA, that's not acceptable, and it's in conflict with the charter. So I hope that by next month's legislature meeting, the other four of us on the committee, that you'll have your own thoughts, and we can work up a resolution at next month's meeting that we can pass on to the legislature in our little part of Chautauqua County government, planning and economic development. The idea that our county IDA is the beginning, the middle, and the ending, the alpha and the omega of economic development, is factually wrong, legally wrong, and to suggest that we should do nothing more than basically ministerial acts. We'll sit here and pass on ag district renewals and things like that. Community development block grant applications for restaurants. By the way, you've heard in the news that community development block grants may go away completely. Do we have anything that we'd like to say to Congressman Langworthy or anybody else, parenthetically? So, whether you like any or all of my draft, this is what we're supposed to do on at least an annual basis. And I'm trying my darndest to have the Economic Development Committee be involved in setting policy for economic development. Back to adding lands in business and industrial parks. Even if Ripley goes pretty well, Mr. Chairman, I think the experts in our presentations indicate there might be 500 and some jobs at Ripley someday, right? Yeah. I would remind North County people especially, that doesn't replace the jobs that this county lost at Carriage House, 500 jobs, and in your Silver Creek, Petrie Baking, 200 jobs. Parenthetically, Tom, I couldn't believe there were 200 people working in that collection of buildings there in downtown Silver Creek, but there were. Those two businesses alone lost us 700 jobs. So Ripley at 500 and something maybe. Our 60-acre development in the South County Industrial Park, 150 maybe. You can see that at best we're replacing the loss of just two businesses. We've got to do better than that. My last comment is that if we all were sitting here in 2025 with a growing county, growing population, growing school population, growing employment, then you would say, why is Larson making a big deal out of goals, objectives, and measurements? We're not. We're sitting here in 2025 with about 14,000 fewer people than 2000, where we were 140,000 people. At best, we're at 126. We're sitting here with 14,000 fewer employed than 15 years ago. And our workforce, the reason I threw in job training, and we've all heard here and elsewhere in our own communities, the complaint by employers they can't find qualified workers, which is obviously true. So can we do something about that? Our labor force in these last 15 years is down by the same 14,000 as everything else. So is it any wonder it's hard to find qualified, trained workers who will show up on a daily basis, even if they don't feel great, to show up with some skills? So I hope, and I believe the four of you will take seriously over the next month this matter and add your ideas to what we can turn into a resolution to submit out of this committee to the whole legislature for the month of June. So that was under privilege of the floor. That's on that matter. This committee last month, I'm quite sure we formally asked our planning department to give us some kind of a white paper, some kind of report on small nuclear power. Okay. Have we received that?
I do have a response on that one.
Do we have a report tonight?
Not a report. It's there was an email sent out by Mark Geis. We will have in July. We're going to have an expert nuclear person.
That's not what this committee asked our planning department just to do basic research and give us a little report.
That information is going to be presented in the July PED meeting.
But Legislator Gustafson is asking all of us to sign a letter saying that we're open to small nuclear, modular nuclear power in Chautauqua County. This is May. We asked for something in April, and I do believe the Post-Journal reported somehow, quoted the county executive after our meeting when we asked for our planning department to put something together by this month or June, not July.
I believe it's scheduled for July is what I have scheduled now. So.
Well, did you schedule it? Mark Geis tell us when we're going to do it.
I believe it's at the availability
it's
of the
availability
speaker.
of the guy who was available. Yeah,
that's not what we asked for.
Well, that's the way it is.
It's
that's
not.
It's going to be. I may not be what we asked for, but that's what's going to happen in July.
The county executive is quoted in the Post-Journal as saying that the administration did have some kind of a study or report. Has the legislature received anything from the administration on small nuclear power plants?
No.
No. So I know partisan politics is stronger in Mayville than the public would ever guess. It's about as strong as in Albany or Washington, not quite as bad. But let's take ourselves seriously as legislators, each one of us. You were elected by the people of your district. You weren't elected by the county Republican committee. I was elected by the good people at North Side of Jamestown, nobody else. We're beholden to our public, not to our parties. And when we ask for a simple, any college student could put together a little report off of Google on small nuclear power plants in about a few hours.
I think we want to do it correctly. I mean, if we're serious about it.
Well, how do we know that one expert is the person we're supposed to
I
listen
think
to?
it's a great start to get someone who knows what they're gonna be talking about to present it to PED, and that's why I had the conversation, and it's gonna be done in July.
There I agree with you completely. Before we make decisions as legislators, we should have good information. So I'm not signing some letter about small nuclear power being invited into downtown Dunkirk until I have good, solid information. As of today, as a county legislator, and the chairman confirms, the administration has not provided this body with one iota of information backing up the notion of inviting small nuclear power into the Lake Erie shore in Dunkirk, New York.
The letter is just a support to explore nuclear energy, not to implement or anything else. It's simply to explore.
Why don't we wait till July then for this expert to talk to us so we have information?
Well, I would say this expert would be our first step in exploring. So the
I
letter of
agree.
support so the letter of support would come before the expert. We're seeking additional information, and the next step would be to receive that information.
Thank you.
So,
All I'm saying,
It's
Legislator Gustafson, is anybody in this government taking us seriously?
I would say
I'll
we've certainly sought the letter of further discovery, and further discovery is being presented to us in July, so I would say yes.
Not by our planning department. That's what we asked for. I read the minutes again for last month.
I'm not-
Let me ask a question, because I'm on both sides of this. When we, in the minutes, did we say, please, Mr. Planning Department, we would like a report by X date?
Yes, May or June. This is May. We don't have it for May.
Well, so, okay, let's just say then, the letter of that law is June 30th.
Pardon?
The letter, the back end of that request is June 30th.
No, our June committee meeting,
Okay, so
Yeah.
what's that, June?
20
whatever.
17th, I believe?
Okay,
Agree.
all right.
That's the back end.
Okay, so, I'm all okay with everything, but by Christ, on the 17th of June, we better have a report from the planning department.
Thank you.
It may
Make that
be
request to make
the
sure.
result of your college student going after Google, but
Something. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, back to the agenda. For first resolution is to confirm reappointment of off-track betting. Do we have anyone to speak on that?
Yes, I would, Mr. Chairman. This resolution is a perfect example of trivializing the Economic Development Committee. Every committee has routine resolutions, I realize that. But who here tonight deeply cares about who is the OTB whatever, and who believes that has a thing to do with the daily lives of the people of Chautauqua County, whether they have a chance for a good job or they have a chance for job training? This is the minuscule business that is the typical, and so I realize some people don't like that I bring things like this resolution on policy, but I didn't come up here to vote on ag district renewals. I didn't come up here to vote on OTB people. It's part of my duty, but these meetings should have meat on the bones.
Function as a committee, be part of the function.
I understand. Every,
Part of our duty.
every,
So,
every
instead of
committee has routine stuff.
Throwing on, it's just part of what we do, and thank you for your comments on that, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All those in favor, if they had a
Aye.
chance to take
Aye.
a look at it?
All right,
Those opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Second resolution this evening is to confirm reappointments of Chautauqua County Soil and Water Conservation District Board Directors. Do we have anyone to speak on behalf of this tonight?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just if our legislature chair has any memory of this, has this body ever turned down an appointment to this organization in your memory?
To the Soil and Water Conservation
Yeah.
District? Not in my memory.
No, thank you.
James Sullivan from the Ute County Executive's Office.
Thank you, James.
So we're here, we have our annual reappointments for the Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors for our 2 legislature appointments. They're only for a year. And so we are going to be reappointing, proposed reappointing legislator Lisa Vanstrom and Pierre Chagnon to the board to serve for another year.
All those in favor of the appointments?
Aye.
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 Carried. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Okay, the third and last item, or last resolution on tonight's agenda is to amend the 2025 budget to enhance programming for Chautauqua County Visitors Bureau. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Good evening, Sam Zafuto, Deputy Director of Finance. This resolution is to amend the budget. As it notes, this project actually was completed somewhat in January. The payment was issued, unfortunately, it was past our accrual. And earlier this year, we had done a resolution carrying some of these projects forward into 2025. I will admit I missed it in that resolution. The first deputy director, as we close out the year, did notice this, so that's why we're here to amend the budget, as this basically was 2024 activity, but now we do need to move the funds into 2025 to cover this expense.
Okay. Does anyone on committee have any questions for the resolution presented this evening?
Mr. Chairman,
Sir?
I was appointed by the chair of this legislature to the Chautauqua County Visitors Bureau. I believe they're doing fine work. I also believed that the occupancy tax, both the 3% and the 2%, I've now learned come up for state legislature action every 2 years. So last year, early this year, I believed that we were going to have a chance to revisit some matters in that 5%. This legislature never asked our state representatives in 2023 to, for the first time in the history of the occupancy tax, which I was county attorney when the first year we implemented the occupancy tax. This legislature never asked our state representatives to change that law and mandate that we give 50% of the 3% to a private body. I was under the impression that I'd have a chance to discuss with you all whether there should be some changes to that. It turned out that for whatever mechanical procedural reasons, this legislature was never given the opportunity to make a new home rule request this year. Then, until discussion with a concerned citizen, I forgot that right in this committee, early this year, I guess, the issue came up as to the 2% waterway monies that somehow our state representatives at some point got involved in defining what waterways were eligible. And apparently, although the Chattacoin River below the Warner Dam flowing through Faulkner, apparently it looks to me like a river. It looks like you could put a canoe or a kayak in. The law, the state law as it is, we have a bunch of navigable waterways where we're not allowed to spend that 2%. I was led to believe that we could have revisited that prior to this year's state legislative session. So the 3% stayed as was passed 2 years ago without that request by this body. And the definition of who's entitled to that 2% waterway money is unchanged as well. So you could say one reason I'm running for re-election is now that I know all these things come up every 2 years, including the sales tax, if I'm re-elected, I will make sure that we review who gets the 3% occupancy tax, who's eligible, and we will review the 2% waterway tax. I have no idea, it's illogical to me, that navigable waterways in this county, some of them are not eligible for our 2% county waterways occupancy tax. So, I'm gonna vote for this resolution because you all have made it clear that this was money essentially promised, and it's just being spread over 2 years instead of one. Is that the bottom line?
Yeah, in essence, it either should have been accrued or part of the earlier carryover that just got missed during the
Right.
reconciliation.
And so my fellow board members on the Visitors Bureau don't get upset. I already, for the record, complimented the work they're doing. I'm gonna vote for this additional money on top of the mandated 50%. That has raised their income in the last year to over 600,000, is half of what we took in. That's a lot of money without having to apply for it here, without having to submit a budget or proposal. It's mandated. We should take a look at any of us that are back here in next January, let's make a commitment to ourselves that we'll make sure we review that home rule request.
May, if I may,
Yes,
I mean, just briefly,
Go ahead.
and this is kind of the spirit of the last thing. There was a mechanical mistake, as you say it, that, as to quote the guy in the movie, said spilt milk under the bridge.
yes,
But approximately 2 years from now, we get another bite at this apple, right?
yes.
Less than 2 years from now,
Less than 2
yes.
years. So if somebody would tell me the date, can we get that issue on this committee's agenda for that date now and on the legislature's agenda?
Yeah, January 27.
And ask
I would
county
say,
executive for a letter of commitment to make sure that that happens.
what this committee in this legislature would do is request our state representatives to, in their renewal request for the occupancy tax, to change the language in the occupancy tax legislation.
But we have to decide what we want them to do.
Right.
Right.
County executive is not involved, is
Right.
my point.
Oh,
So the legislature would be considering any changes that we would like to see our state representatives make and send that request to them before they submit
got it.
the
Their
state
home.
legislation to continue it.
Great.
So
County executive-
legislature Larson suggested January of 2027. I think that would be an appropriate time to discuss it.
All right, so can we get that cast in stone somehow?
We can send an email, who would I send an email to, JAG for this? Would it be something we?
Whose calendar do we want to put this on, John?
The legislature clerk's calendar for January 27.
There you go, Olivia. Put it on your calendar.
Well, if you're not gonna be here to
Feel
remind
free
us,
to invite me, so it's on my team.
Great.
Thank you.
Very good suggestion, thank you for that, thank you. All those in favor of the amended?
Aye.
Aye. Johnny?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor, carried.
All right, thank you.
Sam, thank you so much, appreciate it. Brings us to the last item is other. Do we have any other tonight?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Sure, go ahead.
And,
Please, John.
and, I certainly appreciate Mr. Larson's comments regarding, increase of jobs and opportunities in employment in Chautauqua County. I don't know how long Mr. Larson has spent in private industry. I don't know that.
I ran my own law office and made payroll every Friday for 38 years.
Fantastic. We've talked about a lot of things, but never once has been mentioned the root cause of our population loss. And as a prior employer and for the family company that I work for now, I know those ongoing issues, those complications, and I can give an opinion on what I think some of the root causes are. But I would just ask if we could talk a little bit, maybe next month, and I don't know how the mechanism works, we can work through you. What are some of the root causes? What are the real challenges? We know that there are jobs open in Chautauqua County right now. We know that those positions are very difficult to fill for various reasons. I could give you my unfiltered version of it, because where I sit on what I call Main Street America, and what I deal with every day. But to me, I look at the root causes. If Mr. Larson's numbers are accurate, I'm sure they are. We've had a population loss of 14,000 people
Correct.
since 2010. And I asked myself, what are the root causes? Identify those root causes, and how can we improve? But we haven't talked about root causes at all.
Well, I think we kind of touched on that, I think, a while back, John.
Briefly.
Yeah, because people leave the state, they migrate.
Yeah, briefly.
They migrate out of the
But I mean-
state.
I mean, if we
and
can
leave the job
understand that in
opens.
Chautauqua County, then I think we can help our employers.
But I think the number of job losses is in relationship to the number of people who have left. It's kind of, you know, I believe I'm accurate on that. So,
And I'm not opposed to creating goals and objectives. I think we have
think
those
that's a good
goals and
idea too,
objectives.
but I
I
think
think
the
they're
numbers-
identified.
But the numbers that are on here, my question would be, I guess, Fred, to you would be on this, is the numbers that are on here, you said they're just arbitrary numbers.
Certainly.
So are we gonna try to assign solid numbers to these? Because I think it's almost, that's impossible to try to do.
May I?
Go ahead, Frank.
This is just making my fingernails screech across the blackboard.
Okay.
Now, I grant you I'm a corporate guy, but what, I read through that same thing, it's got the charter and it's got the obligation of the legislature to set direction. You know, having done this in big companies in the private sector, you don't do what Fred's got here. I mean, well-intentioned, but please don't get down in the weeds, you know, and try and micromanage. Law of unintended consequences will eat your lunch.
I agree.
And don't try as government to do what the free market does better. So with those caveats, it is still appropriate for the legislature to give the executive departments, or the executive,
Directors.
strategic direction and limits. And when I say objectives, I mean global objectives like, we want the tax burden to fall. That level,
Mhm.
you know, by 1% or 2%. That kind of objective, but please don't get into painting roads or picking 100 acres or any such stuff.
I think this
Well-
needs more discussion, I really believe. I know you said the draft, you
Yeah.
sent to me, was it sent to anybody else other than myself?
Well, you and the department head,
Okay.
yeah.
Would it be?
I would ask legislator fellow Fred, would you be so kind as to draft up what you think would be a good 2025, 26 goals, objectives, and measurements and email it around to us before the next meeting?
I will try to do a framework.
Okay.
'Cause, I mean,
Well, that would be fair.
But one of the things is I put myself trying to think of government. One of the ways we differ than, at least I understand the federal government, is there's an Office of Management and Budget, which reports to the House of Representatives, which gives them analytical power to get at things and understand the impacts. Which, even so, the House of Representatives sometimes, let's talk about military base closures, does damn fool stuff and directs the executive to do it. which is-
Or not do it?
Or not do it, which is an example of where we don't wanna go. But we don't have any analytical resources as a legislature. You and I've talked a little bit about that.
Yes.
In terms of trying to either borrow somebody from finance or hire somebody ourselves. So we're not giving direction to the executive on the basis of not much.
Just oversight.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
the charter answers legislator Johnson's question, and in the charter, section 208, there shall be appointed at the commencement of each new legislative term a financial analyst to assist the alterations to the county budget and to advise in other financial matters relating to county government. So the charter in 98 envisioned legislator Johnson's concern. This legislature needs independent analysis, recommendations on all things financial. We don't have that now.
Yes, we do.
not independent.
She's the financial analyst to the legislature,
Well,
appointed by the
the
legislature.
98 charter did not look to the county clerk to also be our legislature financial analyst, policy analyst, and legislature counsel.
This
Well-
legislature had a individual, full-time individual, who was employed as the financial analyst. When I was elected, when we were elected 12 years ago, several years after I was elected, we eliminated that position because the position was not providing value to the legislature or the county.
So it was a legislative decision to eliminate that position.
Right.
But that just says we weren't, one, it wasn't a full-time position, and I wouldn't think it wouldn't be. It would be a seasonal position, and two, we weren't doing our job. My newbie opinion.
You and I know a whole lot more than the financial analyst we had. Whether it was the wrong individual, or whether it was the wrong position, full-time versus part-time, that's certainly something we could discuss. But at the time, the situation we were in was not providing value to the county or to the legislature.
And again, I'm a newbie and a corporate guy, but in the corporate world, what happened, I used to have to do this, was a relatively small but senior group in the corporate planning department was seconded to the board to help them with this.
Mhm.
So we, of course, since we were there 365 days a year, knew all the ins and outs, and had all the analytical horsepower. And we helped, it was a process that went on for years, it was a whole procedure of getting the board set up and briefed so that they could go away and decide what they wanted to do in terms of overall.
Mhm.
So that's what I would kind of look to the finance department,
Yes.
you know, on a seasonal basis,
Mhm.
to be formally seconded to the legislature.
Sure. And we could request that, we could move in that direction, sure.
I mean, that's just my corporate experience on it.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, combining two things that Legislator Johnson has brought up in the last 5 minutes. I second his view that don't do as government what the free market can do. What is clear across America, whether it's in New York State or whether it's in Texas or Tennessee or South Carolina, the free market, whether it's Serta Mattress, General Motors, Toyota, you name it, they no longer go out and buy 2, 3, 4, 500 acres, go through all the government environmental concerns. They don't work on this land for years. They say to us, whether it's in New York and Chautauqua County, or in Tennessee, or South Carolina, or Texas, they say to us, government, we're looking at your location. What have you got for us? And the fact, Legislator Johnson, is from 2005 until last year with, or 2 years ago now with Ripley, this county, whether you call it the county government or its county industrial development agency, for 19 years did not add 1 acre of land to our industrial business parks. I commend our current director of the department. He has stated publicly, even in a resolution last year or the year before, he stated publicly, we've got nothing to offer the private sector to build something here, add jobs here. Now we're taking beginning steps, both in Ripley and in the South County Industrial Park, to do something. My communication skills are apparently failing with my age going up. I've tried to point out that these baby steps we've taken for the first time in 18, 19 years might give us 700 jobs. We're down 14,000 from 15 years ago. No, we don't create the jobs, right? But if we have 500 acres that has roads and sewers and water and electric and gas, then we have the potential for another Serta mattress, another brewery, another MRC Bearings, another Cummins engine, another Wells ice cream. We have the potential that something new will be here with new jobs. If we just sit back and we're comfortable with public relations, fancy brochures, live CHQ, praise CHQ, bow down to CHQ, we're not gonna add 200 jobs, 500 jobs to this community. That's my experience going back to 1980, 40 years ago when I was first elected to this body. We need to make clear that we're convinced that we need to prepare the ground literally around this county, whether it's in Hanover or
I believe that's exactly what they're doing. They're always looking, they're always searching, they're always finding, they're always buying or trying to locate property. It's not like you walk out the door and find 200 acres of property.
Mr.
laying around.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
as God is my witness, this county went 18 years, the county and its IDA, went 18 years, I don't know what they were looking for, without adding 1 acre to our industrial park. There's no point defending that, it's just a fact.
I'm gonna defend them because I believe they do a fantastic job, and and I know a lot of other people feel the very same way I do, what they do and how they do it under Geis's leadership, and I just want that on record, so.
Well, if it's such a perfect job, why are we down 14,000 in employment in 15 years? The state of New York?
Well, Fred, we do have to go back to the root causes of it all.
Yeah.
I mean, and, if we're gonna go down this road, then that's really where we need to start, because we need to know what the problems are, then we can identify solutions to those problems, that's just.
Well,
very
again,
basic.
I'll commend Mark Geis for going public, that
It's
we
not
did,
a competition
we
with you
didn't,
all, Fred.
we didn't have any place for business to come. And by a well-published measure the last couple of years, out of the 62 counties in New York, I think we're 60th.
I couldn't agree with you more on that, but what scares the hell out of me is, how many acres are in Ripley? 152 acres, it's gonna cost us $20 million.
Shouldn't have.
I'm just asking you, it's a cost of entry. You've heard that term, it's called cost of entry. We're trying to buy in, we're, rather than, build a garbage company, maybe I wanna buy a garbage company. I can, start it from the ground, I'm 53 and I can spend 500,000, or I can go buy somebody out for 15 million. You make the call, but the point is, to purchase 150 acres land, 200 acres land, and put infrastructure on it, and it's near a highway, a thoroughfare, what is that cost of entry? And I think we're gonna find, it may be cost prohibitive, I don't know.
You're right, we don't know, Mr. Chairman, but in 1999, what is that, 26 years ago already?
Yeah.
This legislature got a detailed report, plan, and 23-2, it bought into it, literally, to the tune of $13 million. I apologize, I didn't do the CPI calendar. I would guess that 13 million 26 years ago is at least 30 now. So yes, what's the cost of doing nothing? The cost of doing nothing is we rank 60th out of 62 counties. That's the cost of doing nothing. And I'm 73, you're 53.
I agree with you.
We have different timelines, horizons, than I'm worried about the kids in Chautauqua County that are in middle school and high school right now. Are they going to have an opportunity for a good economic life, or are they gonna leave us?
You know, I guess we can have all of our opinions, but if we don't know what the root causes are and how your generation, my generation differ from the generation today, and how things are done.
Well,
I mean, this is such a globalist thing that we're talking about, but,
This could go on forever.
but I appreciate your tenacity in
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff, I agree with you.
so I agree with you, it's tough doing business in New York, no question. But the Lord helps those that help themselves.
28 million.
It's not in 28 million today. It's not in Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, I'm afraid, but the Lord does help those who help themselves. Chautauqua County can't change the tax rates of New York State, can't change regulations in New York State. What can we change? we can change how much land is shovel-ready for any kind of a business in areas of the county that'll play ball with us. Will the town of Sheridan work with us to have land zoned industrial that has water, sewer, and electric available? Will Busti play ball with us? Ellicott? If they will, we can help ourselves. I'm not saying it's a panacea. We can't, this legislature and our IDA on our own will never be able to replace 14,000 employment. But we can do 200 at Wells, we can do 200 at Cummins, we can do 150 at Electrovaya. Hopefully, we can do a couple hundred someday at the brand-new pharmaceutical plant in the town of Dunkirk, I think it's in the town. It's a start, and Legislator Penhallow, you're absolutely right. We don't operate in a vacuum, but we need to help ourselves to the best we can. You've heard it too many times, you probably figure. I was the deciding vote to sell the county home. That was the other connection.
We have.
I've
To-
heard that.
I've heard that one time, I think, before.
Well,
or every
Legislator
meeting.
Johnson said tonight, don't do as government what the free market can do. And by my vote, to best of my knowledge, there's still a nursing home there.
Well, you
And-
just think, Fred,
Pardon?
you created Doge yourself and you didn't even know that.
Created what?
Yeah.
Doge, back in whatever it
Yeah, but
was.
not a chainsaw, a scalpel. And though it
Both are getting the job done.
be,
That's
no,
right, thank you.
getting the job done, let's not go there.
Okay.
So you know what?
Yeah, it's,
No, you know what?
sure.
With all this, it's only 57 minutes. I think the taxpayers deserve an hour a month from this committee.
We
Thank
have
you.
3 minutes on it, and the
Okay,
floor is now
so-
Fred's.
We have a couple people here, been sitting here all day.
I know.
With respect to them, can we adjourn? This is a very interesting and important conversation.
I think
It's
so.
the kind of conversation that is probably best had, whoever wants to have it over, I was gonna say a beer, but probably 2 or 3.
I would say
local
wine.
Maybe
Oh,
glasses of
yeah,
wine
wine.
down at Johnson's.
Bring a
Or a couple of
box.
glasses over.
We can
Because-
schedule a, would that
So-
be?
A work
If
session.
somebody wants to
illegal,
retire to.
A summit,
retire,
let's
I can support
create
it.
it, get some
Please.
employers in here and
Okay.
So I make a motion.
let's
to
see
adjourn.
where the rubber
Okay,
meets the
second
road.
second the motion, meeting's adjourned, and I do think we should get together. There's some things we absolutely have to discuss to get on the same page with.
Are you inviting us to the winery?
Are we gonna do this?
I'd come up.
How long are we?
I don't need invitation, I just go when I.
I
No,
know, I just
but-
go. I just
There's
had a
no-
great box of pink